Good afternoon. The collections of manuscript department of the Tretyakov Gallery has 265 private collections of artists and over 170 depository items with over 16,000 photographs out of them. But despite this number of depository items of photo prints, there are very few of one-layer prints, and that can be accounted for by, first of all, the specificity of the collection, and secondly, by the fact that there has been no systematic work on reporting the techniques and identification. This work has only now been started, and we have elaborated a special database to report the archive documents with consideration to the technologies of prints. And for my presentation, the search of one-layer prints was done manually. Some of them we just are familiar with from our collections, and additionally I looked through around 3,000 depository items and identified 14 prints on salt paper, 9 cyanotypes and 4 platinotypes. The collection is likely to have other one-layer prints, but physically it was impossible to look through all the photographs. Therefore, there are possible lacunes in my presentation. All the photo prints that I have identified were visually analyzed not only by me, but my colleagues from the State Tretyakov Gallery, archivist Maria Valova and retouch artist Alexandra Kushaeva and Anna Muratova, and I'm thankful to them for their assistance. In the process of our work, we understood that we were lacking in a lot of work and effort and information, and we have several doubts that I would like to share with you. Probably you would have some useful advice to us. And we decided to first work with prints that we have less doubts in identification. In the search and analysis of one-layer prints, we use the following methods of determining the photographic process: visual inspection of the surface of a print and its damages, analysis of the structure of the print under the microscope with 30-fold magnitude, and dating of the photographs, matching the date with the history of photo technology's development, and search for information about photographer or photo studio. Let me start with salt prints. All these prints have the characteristics specific for them. And the surface of paper is matte, and in microscope the fibers are well visible, and a lot of them have been retouched. Many of them have been retouched with high quality. A lot of them have been well preserved, but still they have traces of fading. They are dated mainly the 1850s, beginning of the 1860s. The format is very different from small 7x9 to pretty large 28x22, with a prevailing number of large ones. Practically all of them have been mounted on cardboard or dense paper support. The photo studios are mainly not indicated, with an exception of 2 cross-border photographers' works, and the majority of them are photo portraits. Let me start with the photography of artists and members of their families. Here we can see a photograph of Alexander Andreevich Ivanov, who is the author of Christ's Appearance to the People canvas, and this photograph, belongs to the widespread genre in the mid-19th century of posthumous photography. This is a yellowed small photograph that is mounted on cardboard, and as known, in 1855, 58, the artist returned to Petersburg from Italy, where he worked on the canvas for over 20 years, and he stayed with the Botkin's family, and in 6 weeks' time he died from cholera. And His brother, architect Sergei Ivanov, was in Rome in those times and could not come to his funeral. That's why the photograph was done. This photograph shows Vladimir Sverchkov, Russian artist, battle painter, portrait painter, and glass artist. He studied in Munich in 1856-1862 from a famous local battle painter, and his famous photograph in masquerade costume of Rubens' era belongs to these times. The photograph has been well preserved, but still in light spots we can see traces of fading, and we can see that the fabric's texture was richer than the print preserved, and the print has inscription in ink of Franz Hanfstaengl, photographer. He started as a lithograph, and in 1853 he launched a photo studio specialized first of all in portrait photography, and he was one of the first people to start retouching negatives, and this print might have been retouched on the negative as well, and here we can see this spot of light that is somewhat different from others, and we can also see that the fold on the clothes is different. And we have several salt prints that are stored in the collections of Ivan Kromskoy, who started his career as a retouch artist, and in the late 1850s he arrived in Petersburg and worked in the photo studio of the best in those times Petersburg photographers Alexandrovsky and Denier. And being an artist, Kromskoy still was interested in photography and used photographs for portrait painting. And here we can see the salt prints of the early 1860s, picturing the artist himself, and maybe the task here was to create a fading silhouette, and we can see watercolor background and photographic shooting techniques, and this fading silhouette was like this at the very beginning, and such a property of salt paper as the smoothness of image and even fading also is done on purpose for the artistic targets of the print. And the fact that the young man's figure is fading away draws our attention to the face, which is outstanding, and the suit of Kromskoy tells us about his taste. We can guess his elegant silhouette, and retouch is also used for his clothes. According to the style of the photo portrait, it was done in Denier's photo studio where Kromskoy used to work before. And here I show a photo portrait done by Denier, just to compare. And it is known that Denier made photos of Kromskoy, and the people who knew the artist liked this portrait most of all. And it is interesting that apart from the portrait up to the the top part of the body, there is also a portrait to the shoulders, and that is likely to be a print from a retouched photograph. And interestingly here is the difference in the way these two photographs are preserved. Another photograph from Kromskoy's collection is the photograph of members of artist cooperative associations founded in the around 1863 on the initiative of Kromskoy. And here we can see in several artists who are mentioned here. And the larger format photograph, dated 1863, show very visible signs of fading. For example, we can see how the furniture that the artists are leaning on is fading away, and we can see a lot of signs of retouch here. The authorship of photography and the circumstances of the photography need to be further identified. Several salt prints were discovered in the collection of artist Masayedov. First of all, portraits of the artist and his wife. And Masayedov was sent to study abroad and worked in Spain, where photography of the artist was made in the costume of a Spanish grand. And this photography looks a little bit strange or curious, bearing in mind that Myasayedov was famous for pictures devoted to peasants. And this photograph with smooth gradation of tones was likely to be tinted. And we can also say that it can be proven by comparing it with another photograph made on the same day, but that was not tinted or toned. And this print faded away much stronger afterwards and was covered with foxings. Another photograph shows a pianist of Elizaveta Krivtsova, that is a photograph of an unknown author, and she was the first wife of Myasayedov. The image here faded very strongly, and it was restored afterwards with the help of white paint and graphite pencil. As shown on the reverse of the photograph, it was done by Masayedov himself. Further photographs depict Alexander Krivtsov, brother of Elizaveta Krivtsova, first wife of Masayedov, and his wife. The retouch of photographs with pastel colors, graphite pencil, and white colors were done by Myasayedov according to family talk as well. And they used to have the similar passport that was preserved only in one of the photographers. And the problem of identification of technology in this case is connected with the fact that photographs are really strongly retouched, and it is hard to analyze the surface. The female portrait is almost fully covered with paint, and as for the male, only a small portion of face is left unpainted out. And the dating is also difficult to state. Most likely it is 1876, and maybe they were done in Russian provinces that were remote for technical innovations. This photograph shows the future battle painter Vereshchagin and his older brother Nikolai, who did a lot for the development of Russian dairy industry. And here the brothers are depicted during their studies in the Alexander's cadet course for young noblemen in Tsarskoye Selo. The approximate date of the photo is 1850, and we believe that this print was toned, and there are a lot of signs of retouch. Several salt prints were preserved in the archives of merchant families of Tretyakovs and Mamontovs, because not all in those times could purchase all the necessary things. And here you can see a salt print with a strongly faded image that afterwards was restored with the help of watercolor and retouch. And here you can see young Sergei Tretyakov, the merchant, and Pavel Mikhailovich, the brother of Savor, and Sergei's wife and sister. There is no clear dating, approximately that will be between 1856 and 1860, because in 1856 they got married, and here we can see the wedding rings on the index fingers where they used to wear them. And in 1860 Elizaveta died, giving birth to her second child. And we will see another photo with an unknown lady but with the same composition. And this print is also valuable because it reflects the fashion of those times for ladies. The existence of the print is that we can say that after retouch the photograph was mounted on the oval passepartout frame and was partly lacquered. And I tried to make a photo of this to be able to see the surface. Despite the fact that it is a lacquer, it is hard to mix it or confuse it with albumen. The next image shows, as we believe, a representative of the Mamontovs. Ivan Mamontov was a wine tax merchant and father of Sava Mamontov, the further famous entrepreneur and patron of art and owner of Abramtsevo Manor. And he was uncle to Vera Tretyakova, who was the wife of the founder of the Tretyakov Gallery. The photo is not clearly dated, and it was believed that it was done in the 1830s when the salt paper print was invented. But Ivan Fedorovich was born in 1802, and he looks pretty young here. So if our assumptions about the model are true, the point is not only in the young look of Ivan Fedorovich that was characteristic of him, according to other portraits as well, but also because of the properties of salt paper, because we do not see the lines on his face and the eyes and the hair was retouched. And in the 1830s he only started his career, so it is highly unlikely that this photograph was done in remote areas of Russia where he used to serve back then. So most likely this photograph was done later on. So it means that we need to understand the context and the circumstances to date the images. But our assumptions can be wrong, and that might be a totally different person. This image of an oval shape is cardboard mounted and has all the characteristic features of salt print. And we can see that the folds on his suit are highlighted with the help of paint, and there is a graphite pencil used, and here we can see the signs of retouch. This photo shows niece and nephew of Ivan Mamontov, Vera Mamontova, the future founder of the Tretyakov Gallery, her brother and sisters. And the sisters are clothed similarly, and it is a characteristic feature of other photo portraits. And the photo is dated the late 1850s, and there is document evidence that in the late 1850s the Mamontovs used to go to Bergen's photo studio, and this photograph is likely to be done there, but we cannot state it for sure, and the photo is still mounted on the old passepartout with golden edges, and though the photo is well preserved and it has a smooth matte luster, but still the signs of fading are visible, and there are light signs of retouch with watercolors and graphite pencil. Photographs of Vera Nikolaevna and Zinaida Nikolaevna Mamontovy, done in Scherer and Nabgol's former Bergner photo studio, and dated first half of the 1860s, is present here. So we can see again the Mamontov sisters, but identification of these prints are doubtful, because the surface of the images mounted in large passepartout are matte, but on the contour they are covered with some glossy emulsion that looks like albumen. And there are very few signs of fading, even in lighter sections, and the scratches that can be seen in one of the images are scratches from the negative, so that is not the color layer, and maybe they tried to tone the print and did not succeed. So therefore I believe that we can see toned salt prints with albumen cover at the edge, or it can be matte albumen with a strongly soluble layer of white. Cyanotypes identified in our collection, apart from the characteristic blue color and matte surface and also visible paper signs under the microscope, also have other signs, and we understand that the cyanotype process, invented in 1842, was not really widespread, and these photos were done in the 1890s, 1900s by amateurs, and similar photographs or similar images are usually found in cyanotype and silver gelatin prints. Let us analyze several photographs with this respect. Let us start with a photograph of artist Nikolai Ge. He lived in a hutor from 1876 to 1894. He worked on paintings, gave classes to Kiev Painting School, and doing agriculture. And this photo was done by an artist and amateur photographer Lev Kovalsky, who stayed with Ge in those times. And one of the photographs was done in the workshop of the artist during his work on crucifixion painting, and he posed here, and we can date this photograph 1892. Kowalski was likely to use a cyanotype process without having a technical opportunity to make silver gelatin prints in a village, because we can fix them only washing them with water, and from the same negatives silver gelatin prints were likely to be made, but later on, and the cyanotypes made by Kowalski was reproduced at a larger scale immediately and given to different people, because one and the same image was received by us from different people.
There is a similar situation with prints made by amateur photographer Domogaskin. He took these photographs at his workshop in Paris. So all prints which were made as part of cyanotype prints, we find them also as silver gelatin. So probably his circumstances were the same as in the case of Kowalski. So there was no photo laboratory around, and he had to reproduce and replicate these prints to reflect works by both sculptors. One of the cyanotypes was found in the collection of Kardovsky. It was the time when many of photographers and artists went to learn from Anton Ashbe, an artist of Slovenian origin who worked in Munich. So this amateur photo was obviously glued to the latter, because there are signs of loss in the middle, which probably resulted from detaching the image from the picture. So probably Kardovsky glued this photo to a sheet of paper to avoid fading. Another sign typo was found in the collection of Maximov artists. So again, it was glued into the album, and all other prints were silver gelatine. So probably the family just ran out of a gelatin photo paper. Apart from the cyanotypes and salt prints, so the collection also had 4 prints on platinum paper. So they all have common characteristics. So there are clearly identified paper fibers and a big range of tones. So here on this print we see a famous landscape artist, Alexei Savrasov. So it dates back to 1871, and the artist passed away the same year. So the quality of preservation is very good, so the print is very clear with a gradation of tones. You can see every single hair in the beard of the artist. So, and the stamp on the passport too says that the print was taken in the photo studio of Pavlov, and surprisingly, the wife of the photographer was the daughter of Savrasov, Evgenia Alexeyevna. So there are also 2 more platinum prints, so which were taken in Pavlov photo studio, but later on in 1911. So they are posthumous portraits of Serov. So again, the quality of preservation is superb, but they were retouched, so probably due to inavailability of the proper lighting. So all these photographs are preserved in the collection of Ostroukhov, a friend of Serov. The last platinum type is the portrait of Ivazovsky, dating back to 1890. So during the identification process, there were doubts due to the poor quality of print preservations, despite what's being said about stability of platinum types. However, if you use a microscope, you can see that the image is on the fibers, and you can see that the fibers are dark and that the image is shaped in the paper layer, which enabled these smooth transitions between the shades on the platinum type. So, and the poor condition has to do with the poor condition of the substrate. So it was taken in Kharkov in the photo studio of Federsky, and it's known that this photographer worked with platina as well. So, as for the composition, it should be mentioned that Ivazovsky would also pose before a painting. So, when such prints were reproduced, so the picture, the canvas would be cut away but replaced for smaller paintings. So thus we can characterize one-layer prints in the department of the manuscripts of the Tretyakov gallery. So during this work, together with my colleagues, we realized that we have little experience, and we are ready to show them and ask for your advice. And we would like to hope that this conference would help us to find answers to many of our answers, and I hope that we will also accumulate collectively an experience for identification of one-layer prints.